Well, looky here. You are listening to someone who is bold, authentic, diverse, unpredictable. Baby, I am unapologetically Ramon, and you have entered my zone, the QB zone, baby. Hello, somebody.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Ramon Marquise, and just had to come to you guys just to do a little housekeeping. Other than being a podcast host, I am an author, and I want you guys to bless yourself with one or all, if you want to, of my books. My books are available on Amazon.com, Kindle. You can also get them on iBooks, or you can go to my website, RamonMarquiseOfficial.com. That's RamonMarquisOfficial.com. My first book is entitled District 69, the Crimson Edition. We have District 69, the Color Haven. My third book, District 69, the Greek Chronicles, and those are a collection of short stories. They are not all my stories, because I ain't finna give y'all all my business, but it is a collection of my stories and those of others. My next book is called A Poetic Exhale. It's my first poetry book and my first book to go number one in its category. And then my fifth book, which is my newest book, it is called Icebox, Rebound, and Recover.
Rock Legion.
I want to welcome everybody down to the QB Zone. I'm very excited for another episode as usual. I have a very, very special guest, and this time she's going to be putting on one of her other hats that she wears, one of her multiple hats. And today our episode is about beauty, skincare, and wellness. And before I bring my guest in, I just want to read two quotes that I thought really stood out to me as I was researching for the episode. Beauty care soothes the symptoms of dryness and irritation, nourishing your skin so it's less vulnerable to damage and you feel more comfortable. We spend most of our time working and taking care of others, but self care isn't a dirty word, and the few minutes we spend daily pampering our skin can be rejuvenating. Beyond physical health, cosmetics can help to improve our mood, enhance our appearance, and boost our self esteem. They can also help to exhibit personal style and, as such, are an important means of social expression. Today's guest is a licensed esthetician and beauty consultant, and I'm very, very excited. I'm always excited to have her. She gives good chat. That is Miss Jasmine Elliott. How are you, lady?
Fantastic, and thank you so much for having me back yet again. It's always a good time with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. You have a wealth of knowledge to share with this topic. What did you think, or what stood out to you about those two quotes that I just read?
Well, as somebody who has been in the industry for just about 7 years, going on 8 years this coming summer, it's so true that we do spend a lot of time taking care of others and not taking care of ourselves. And that's something that I run into with my clients often, is that they are just so busy, especially during the holiday season, just going here, there, everywhere, and they really neglect themselves. And then it doesn't really do anything good for their spirit either. So
Right.
I always drive home the point that whoever I'm working with in that arena of skincare is to make sure that you prioritize your self-care, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you really can't take care of everybody else, at least not to the best of your capacity. So that's very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you think of beauty, or when you hear the word beauty, what does beauty mean to you?
I love that question. To me, beauty is really feeling good about who you are and also really accepting yourself for who you are and not necessarily being in a rush to fit into any one definition of beauty. And I do believe that beauty at its heart is meant to be diverse. We're not all supposed to be cookie cutter faces. Not everybody's supposed to have the same skin tone, the same skin type. And also, I do that beauty is evolution, especially embracing the aging process rather than trying to fight it tooth and nail. Not saying that I'm against anybody who does, like, plastic surgery, injectables, like, do what you want. It's your face at the end of the day. Just make sure that whatever you're doing for yourself, make sure that you're doing it for you and
Mm,
not to.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, having experience for years in social work, what
Mhm.
led you to end up in the beauty industry, and what do you love about being a part of this industry?
Well, ultimately, the beauty industry is still a helping profession, just not necessarily as intense as social work.
That's true.
And for me, it was personal because I did not have great skin growing up as a teenager. I actually had pretty bad acne. And so when the opportunity presented itself to go to beauty school, I jumped at the chance, found that I really took to skincare as a knowledge base and also as a hands-on profession. And from there, I really just took the leap of faith and went into the industry just full force with both feet in. And I would say that the best part of my industry and the best part of doing what I do is being able to see the transformation happen in real time, especially for clients
Mm,
that have come to me regularly with certain skincare issues, whether it's their skin was like, roughly textured. I've worked with tons of men and women who dealt with acne, especially seeing that transformation from when they first come to see me to when they see me for a few sessions and then of course adopt a better skincare routine adapted to their skin, and seeing the change with them going from point A to point B and seeing their confidence return and just seeing just their faces light up and they actually look forward to their facial versus dreading it. That's really my favorite part, is seeing the information from the inside out.
mm. And so, what would you say, for example, with acne? It's so interesting you brought the acne because I too had to struggle that as a child. What are some of the best ways or best products to help with that?
Well, usually the conventional wisdom was to just dry out your skin and just reduce the oil as much as possible. I mean,
Right.
I am a Noxzema survivor. I use Noxzema and live to tell the tale.
Uh-huh.
But in reality, acne, yes, is being caused by an overproduction of sebum. But interestingly, there's a possibility that your skin is dehydrated as well. So what happens is that when our skin doesn't have enough water content, it will overproduce oil to make up for it, and that's where all the clogged pores come into play. So not only do you have to reduce the sebum production, but you also have to hydrate the skin with water-based products. So using a
Mm,
product such as a gel cleanser, which are usually more so water-based, using a balancing toner,
okay.
also using for spot treatments, I'm between salicylic acid and peroxide. I'm more of a fan of salicylic acid. It's for me, just in practice, it's a bit more effective and not as drying. And also just making sure that your gut health is taken care of too, because acne is not always just surface. Sometimes it has something to do with what's happening inside the gut. There might be an imbalance there. So for me,
Wow.
yeah, so for me, balancing my acne is a combination of not just what I use on my skin, but also what I take into my body. So I know for a fact, not saying that dairy makes everybody break out, but I know that I cannot drink cow's milk. If I drink cow's milk, my entire face is going to break out like within hours, if not like the same day.
Right.
So for me, it's making sure that my gut health is in check, taking a pre and probiotic to make sure that my system is clear so that it doesn't show up on my face.
That is so interesting because when I think about the years that my acne struggled really bad, for example, um, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 13. My grandma said it was 12. I thought it was 14. Well, we're just gonna say 13.
Average it
And,
out.
and of course, for those who don't know, that affects your intestine, large and small intestine. Of course, some have it a lot worse than others. And so it makes me think when you talk about gut health, that around those years of seventh, eighth, and ninth grade, it was really, really bad for me, and so that puts a lot of things to perspective. And then also when you talk about the different products, so that's interesting. That definitely taught me a lot because I mean, when you talk about uh, Noxzema and Claricel, I think it's called Claricel, right? Um,
Yeah, they Claricel's one. Yeah, is another big one. And also, my gosh, um, not to call them out, but I'm calling them out. Stay Knives scrub. Don't use it. Don't use it
remember
on your
that one.
face.
When I tell you I was in the eighth grade, and because I went from like Zima Clear, I said try some of everything. Neutrogena, that's the orange and white. But
Hmm.
yes, I tried all those. I remember when I had tried Clearasil. And of the three, let me just say, Neutrogena probably worked the best out of those three of those. But when I tried Clearasil, I remember reading the directions, put it on my face. Next thing I know, that it burnt me.
Oh,
Like I was burnt, like under my eye.
oh my God.
And it was so embarrassing. I'm going to school with this burnt thing under my eye. And thank God there's no scar, nothing to this day, but I'll never forget that. I was just like kind of over it at that point. I'm like, I was really willing to try everything, anything. So that's interesting. And I'm definitely look at some of the products I use now to make sure. I mean, I haven't had bad acne in a long time, thank God, knock on wood. But I think that's very informative for me to know the different types of products that you just mentioned. Um, at times, hurdles for people of color has been the lack of products that cater
Mhm.
towards our skin. Can you talk about why this is an important issue?
It's an important issue because it's very recently that companies are starting to actually test products on our skin. So, in skincare, there's something called the Fitzpatrick scale, and it's a scale of 1 to 6. So, one, two, three, and so a level one, two, three, and four are mostly, people of Caucasian descent, maybe olive skin. Once you get to level four, you're looking at my skin tone. I'm a lighter skin, but African American, and then 5 or 6 and darker skin tones. So, oftentimes, companies will test out their products and will do extensive testing, but they won't necessarily include people of color in that testing. So the results are skewed because our skin does have really different needs, especially when it comes to hyperpigmentation. That's a really big one. So it's important to go with companies that have examples of their products being used on skin of color. So a company that I really like that does that was PCA Skin. They're a clinical grade company. They're amazing at testing their products across all skin types so that you get a true read of their results. And that's just a general rule of thumb. And also, it doesn't hurt to like work with some like black-owned companies as well. Shea Moisture is one. Um,
Mhm.
they are a drugstore line, but still, they obviously tested on people of color to
Right.
show the effectiveness of their products. And I think that it's so important because the face of beauty is changing, and it's not just buy beauty products. In fact, Black people make up billions and billions of dollars of beauty
Absolutely.
product sales. So it behooves those companies to test out their products on the customer base, so that they get not only the results um, that are accurate, but also be able to show people of color, hey, we're working for you too, and they can capture a bit of that, a piece of that $1 billion pie.
So you mentioned Shea Moisture. Um, are there any other black owned or products tested on black people that would be beneficial for us?
Well, I mentioned Shea Moisture, PCA Skin. I'm also a fan of Buttah by Dorian.
Okay.
Buttah. I've used their products in the past. I'm actually cycling through so many products that I'm testing for work.
Uh,
But I do love Butterskin by Dorian
okay.
because they have like a really curated line. So it's not like a ton of cleansers, a ton of toners, so you're not going to get dizzy. But what they do
Yeah.
have is very effective.
Hmm.
And they made it a point to not just cater to us through their advertising, but also have amazing testimonials from other African Americans who use it, not just famous people, like people just like you and me,
Okay. Wonderful.
first
Wonderful.
row. But one line that I'm really itching to get my hands on because I've heard so many good things about it. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's developed by Sierra, and apparently
I
she's done a
have heard
very
about her stuff. Yeah.
apparently she has done a very good job in partnering with chemists and formulators to make product line for us. So I will get back to you on that because that's going to be my next beauty purchase.
Have you tested or had any feedback on Fenty Beauty?
I actually use the fat water toner, both of them. I like it. I will say that the scenting is just a little heavy for my taste, but only
Okay.
because I just have a thing with like perfume and skincare in general. That's totally a me thing. But I do love the fat water toner, particularly the milky essence, because with this cold snap, even though my skin is naturally oily, when the temperatures dip below, say like the 60s or 50s, my skin dries out in a minute. So that fat water toner has been keeping my skin hydrated and not feeling like a Brillo pad. So I'm very happy with it.
Okay. And just for anybody who want to check out Sierra, the name is OAM, which stands for On a
Yes.
Mission.
Thank you.
That's the name of it. And then also, you know who else I just because I follow them on social media has a skincare line? August Alsina.
Really? When did that
Yes.
happen?
Um, don't you start me to lie. I just know that I started seeing him post about it a lot, and I'm gonna tell you the name of it. It's called, I want to say Encina. Yes, Encina Wellness. Encina Wellness. That's the name of his product.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
he has amazing skin. I mean, I don't know what's filtered and what's what, but he looks to have amazing skin, and he actually has videos where he's showing himself utilizing the different products. So I thought that was interesting. I have a quote that I came across. Let me go back to my notes. I have a quote that I came across in Glamour magazine, and I would love to
Mhm.
get your perspective on it. If you're a white woman looking for advice about your hair, skin, mental health, lifestyle changes, or self care, you have a seemingly endless stream of content at your fingertips. It's a different story for a woman of color. If you're a Black woman, there are far fewer opportunities to find necessary types of beautifully curated content.
Mm. I'm not going to argue with you when you're right. I'm not going to argue with you when you're correct. It's so true, especially like even though we have more than before, we still are lacking in terms of curated space for for just us. I mean, even just thinking of mental health, like off the top of my head, I can think of therapy for Black girls and not much else. Aside from that, I know that Taraji P. Henson also launched an initiative, which I'm a huge fan of, and great for her and great that she's contributing to the conversation. But
Absolutely.
it's so important because again, we just encounter different issues that are not necessarily universal.
Mhm.
You get me? So it makes for that. And also even just me, my hair's braided up right now, but when I was going natural 10 years ago, I had to really do the deepest dive into the internet to figure out how to go about this the right way. Now, now I look on it, I can type in do a Google search on natural hair, and there's like tons of articles now. But at the time, it was like trying to find a needle in a haystack, and I was trying everything like coconut oil and this method and
Mhm.
this and that method and this and that and the other. So it was a lot of trial and error. But I think that with time and also with the advent of social media, which helps a lot because this is
Right.
pre TikTok and all that, that the content is getting better. But we still have a far way to go. I mean, even just looking at a magazine aisle, like when you think of, magazines dedicated to Black women in beauty, the two
Hmm.
major ones that I can think off the top of my head are Essence and Ebony. And
Hmm.
even that and even that is like extremely limited, and maybe you might be able to find a copy of Sheen every so often, but as far as like anything to the level of like a Vogue or a Harper's Bazaar,
We don't have.
we don't have it. We don't have it. I mean, I have to hand it to Glamour magazine. It's so interesting that you quoted from them. I have to give it to them because they are pretty good at being diverse and being inclusive. As one of like before they became like online only, I was a subscriber for many
Right.
years. That
Right.
was one of the only like really mainstream beauty magazines that I was like, okay, I can get down with this. I can find something for myself in here. But the rest of them are very touch and go. And
Hmm.
well, I'm kidding. Cosmopolitan's actually pretty good about it too now, but
Right.
that was not always the case.
Yeah, that is true. And it's crazy because sometimes I'll be in the store and it's like outside of Essence and Ebony, because we had Jet back in the day, but Jet's
Yeah, Jet's no longer.
I still sometimes get surprised when I see a Black person on the cover.
Yeah, me too. It's like, oh, who's
Yeah,
this?
exactly, exactly.
But also like it always seems to be the same woman on the cover every single time though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was like I'm a Beyonce stan, but like I can only have so many magazine covers of the girl.
Correct. And I love Rihanna, but I don't
I
need to
love
always hear about Fenty and yeah, yeah. Like this, she's not the only one.
She's not the only one. There are so many amazing black actress black actresses, black artists, period, who would be amazing. Like I would love to have a beauty feature on her. I
Hmm.
love that. She's stunning. I
Yeah.
would love to know what she does to her hair, what is going on with that skin because it's gorgeous. But like
Absolutely.
never seen a feature in that. And that might also be her own choice. Like I can't count that out. But
Hmm.
there are just so many, like I can just think off the top of my head, what do you eat? What do you use? I want to know it all.
Yeah. And when you talk about what we eat, talk about some of I know you talk about dairy, but are there some other food items that can help improve our facial health, or what are some of the items that we should possibly look out for?
Well, let's start with the good stuff. So antioxidants are always a good thing to have in your diet. So that means lots of citrus, so your oranges, your grapefruits, your
Mm,
leafy greens, because antioxidants help with excuse me, help with the reduction of free radicals on the skin. And what free radicals do is they essentially just wreak havoc, accelerate the aging process, accelerate.
mm,
And so we want to make sure that we have those from the inside out. And so also staying hydrated, very simple thing that we all can do pretty easily, but often do not do. It really can be just as simple as drinking enough water.
mhm.
Like me personally, I drink at least a half a gallon a day
Nice. Okay.
just to keep just to keep my system going,
Right.
and also just make sure that whatever diet that you're eating is low in like artificial sugars.
Mm,
So like fruit is great, but maybe not gummies. And that's my Achilles, because I have a sweet tooth for the
for the
gods.
gummies.
I can't give me the cookies, the cakes, the pies, all of this that I have to watch out for,
Yeah.
because I recognize that if I have too much sugar in my system, that my skin just starts to look dull and tired, and not I could be using everything but the kitchen sink, it won't make a difference.
Oh wow.
um so yeah, just avoiding refined sugars in general. So that's not too much. I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody to throw away their sugar, like don't put sugar in your coffee, but just everything in moderation.
Right.
And mind you, there isn't any study that says that this particular food causes acne, but if you find that after you eat a certain food that it causes acne, you should avoid it. There are some people that I know can drink cow's milk without any consequence. Me, there are consequences. There are some people who can eat pizza or like fried food, no consequence,
For
but for
other people.
somebody else, it could trigger something. And even sometimes healthy foods. I had a client that, like, for sure, of all things she was sensitive to were avocado. She them
Oh
that
wow.
would cause her to flare up for whatever
Mhm.
her stomach just did not agree with it, and it would show up in her face.
Mm,
So just being mindful of those things and just really paying attention to how you feel out, from the inside out after you eat foods is also something to keep in mind.
can alcohol have any kind of effect, or does it depend on the person?
It does ultimately dehydrate everybody. Everybody gets dehydrated from alcohol, but again, everything in moderation, right?
Right. Right.
So obviously, if you're like pounding back like 3 or 4 margaritas, like 3 or 4 times a night, probably not going to be the greatest for you. But if you have a cocktail or two every so often, it's not going to hurt.
Oh, okay. Okay. For men and women, why would you say skincare is so important to not just self care but also overall health?
Because, well, think about it. Skin is the largest organ on your body. It protects your insides. It also is a great indicator as to whether or not you're injured, whether or not you're cold, too hot, so on and so forth. So it makes sense for you to take care of the largest part of your body that's protecting you. So it's important. And also, your skin is an indicator of your health too, because if your skin is dull or dry, or maybe you're having acne, you're getting these rashes or these flare ups, that could be an indication that something on the inside is not quite right. For me, not only do I struggle with acne, but I also sometimes have not eczema flare ups when I'm stressed out. Like whenever I'm overly stressed, I immediately, like, dry patches start showing up. And so that's my indicator of, okay, something's going on. Let me slow down a bit. Let me get organized. And of course, I use things externally, such as, like, certain like body wash, like, to relieve the symptoms. But I also check in with my mental health too, just to make sure that I'm okay. And every single time, once the plane lands and I'm able to kind of get grounded, the
Absolutely.
eczema just goes away on its own.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know a few people that have eczema, and it's like the more and more I'm finding out about it, the more and more awareness and
Hmm.
just the signs to look out for, and then just also things to help care for. So that's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, because that's one of those conditions that we don't like. We know what causes it, but not really, and there isn't really a cure for it either. So you can't exactly cure eczema, but you can manage it.
Can it be hereditary?
That
I'm
I'm
not
not clear
sure.
on.
Okay.
I'm not clear on that. I would have to ask around, but I wouldn't doubt it.
You want, yeah, you never know. For those who cannot afford the more expensive means of caring for your beauty, skin care, and wellness, or for people who just don't know where to start, what are some cost-effective ways that one could use to care for their beauty, skincare, and wellness?
Well, that's also a really good question because a lot of times when people think about quality skincare, they automatically think that it's like it's huge price tag, and that's not always true. There are really amazing companies that you can, like, even within Sephora, The Ordinary is a really good one that I can think of off the top of my head, that they have really amazing formulas, but they don't cost an arm and a leg. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about doing your research and not necessarily thinking that luxury means expensive. That's not always the truth. And also a good way is to look for box sets. So things are already pre-curated that come with a cleanser, with a toner, with a moisturizer, rather than buying them separately. That's also a really good cost-effective way to get a full routine without spending, like, half your paycheck. And also don't sleep with drugstore brands. Do not sleep on them. There are some really great ones out there. Personally, some of my favorites are, especially for sensitive skin, CeraVe. A lot
Okay,
of my clients have like really reactive skin. It's like nothing works on them. For some reason, CeraVe products, totally fine.
interesting. Okay, okay. Listen, I knew that you were going to be a wealth of knowledge, young lady. I mean, you really taught me some interesting things because I know for me, all I really use is shea butter, like the bar soap shea butter. Like that's really all I use. But I was
Question for
like,
you. Are you using sun protection?
hell no.
Sir,
I know.
sir,
Yeah,
sir, don't make me come through the screen. So help me God.
I know. It's
you
ridiculous.
absolutely, you absolutely need to use sun protection, and that's a huge myth among African Americans that we don't need it because we have more melanin. That's
Hmm.
only partially true. Yes,
Okay.
it does offer a little bit more protection, but not enough that we need to throw sunscreen out of the window. I tell this to my clients all the time, and you can quote me on this, that sunscreen is going to be the difference between looking like you're 80 when you're 50 or 50 when you're 80.
And I need my black to continue to not crack. So
Exactly.
what brands do you recommend?
My personal favorite is incidentally Black Girl Sunscreen, and it's in Target,
Okay.
and it's formulated because a lot of times with my clients of color, they're like, "Oh, I hate sunscreen because it leaves this ugly white cast." With this particular formula, no excuses. It goes on like a lotion, absorbs like nothing. You can't even see it, and no greasy after feel. They have like a regular formula and a matte formula too for people who just really don't like the shiny feel. But
Mhm.
Black Girl Sunscreen, I've been using it since the middle of second it came out, and I'm never letting it go.
And you said is that Target?
You can get it at Target. You can get it online. Black Girl Sunscreen.
Because you know what's so interesting? You're telling me this like I'm going to Mexico tomorrow, and
Oh, are you?
I'm gonna be out in the sun for a good 7 days.
Okay, run yourself to Target.
I sure,
Go
I
and get your
sure
stuff.
am.
Go get it. I'm telling you, it is like the best sun protection.
Okay.
And I think the company isn't very old. I don't think the company is even 10 years old yet, but it is so good.
I
I mean,
love that. Okay.
this is the reason why, like, I just 33 over a month ago, and I not a line or a wrinkle, nothing. I've been I've
Nice.
been using sunscreen for a very, very long time, and I'm very lucky that like nothing's happening. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, makes a huge difference.
Black girls, I swear I will be getting it before I leave in the morning. That is awesome. It's so funny the way you looked at me like, no, I've never used no sun protection.
For those who can't see me right now, I'm clutching all the
I
hair curls.
know the look on her face is hilarious. But no, this is good. This is informative, and I appreciate it. Definitely, definitely. Listen, so you guys, I will put the name of some of the products you recommend when you look for the bio of the episode. But I really look forward, or I'm very grateful to the knowledge that you just shared, Jasmine. As usual, you are always a wealth of knowledge and good chat, young lady.
I'm always happy to be a good chat, and it's always great to connect with you. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for everything. You take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Well, that's it for the zone today. We are officially shutting it down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, remember this: don't be afraid to start all over again. You may like your new story better.